Today we are going to study 9th standard political science first lesson, that is post World War political developments. Now this World War means the fighting that went with the countries and it was fought between different countries. Post means after, yes, but to know the after this thing, what happened, what was the kind of situation after the World War happened. There were two World Wars fought. One was the first World War was fought in the year 1914 and it ended in 1918. The Second World War was fought in 1939 and it ended by 1945. Now these two world wars were fought. Now when war happens, or there is a situation of war, what happens? There are two different countries having something against them, or in olden times how it was that there were monarchs, there were kings, and to establish their powers, what they were doing was they were creating or they were having wars with each other to prove their supremacy or to prove their power and to expand their kingdom. When war was fought, what used to happen, and there used to be loss also, but the plus point for the winner or for the victor country was that they used to achieve the wealth, the treasure, as well as the people of those that region or that kingdom, and they used to have their soldiers, that is their whatever armaments or they were having the arms or weapons with them, that used to be in their side. Understood? So to have this thing, to maintain their supremacy, to maintain their name and fame, the powerful kingdom used to suppress the weaker kingdom and they used to have the war between them. Understood? And it was a very thing of credit for them. It was very much respectable, or it was a kind of achievement for that king or that monarch, that as much wars they have fought or he or she has fought. Understood? The ruler. So as per that, they were maintaining their status in front of all, and they were knowing that if I want to make my name and fame everywhere, I have to prove myself. And how I will prove? By having a war with the other kings and kingdoms. Understood? So this was there. Now slowly what happened? The lifestyle changed, and as the lifestyle changed of people, what happened? We know that how the people began to live in a society, how they started to upcome their living style. Understood? And how they developed their colonies. As these colonies were developed, what happened? During those times, during 1914 to 1918, what happened? There were allied powers, which were there: Britain, France, Russia, Italy, America. This was allied powers. Central powers on the other side, what was there? Who all were there? Germany, Australia, Hungary, Ottoman Empire and Bulgaria. So allied powers and central powers. So in between these two, what was there? War was there. Understood? And as this power where there. Allied powers, they wanted to maintain their status, and the central powers, they wanted to maintain their power, their status. So that was the thing where the war took place, and as during those times Europe was the center of international and global system. Europe was very much flourished at that time, and the war caused tremendous loss of life and property in Europe. We know that when war happens, nothing is productive, everything is destructive, everything is on the loss side. There is a loss of manpower also, there is a loss of the infrastructure also, everything is destroyed. It is said that to destroy a certain thing it takes a second, but to build up a certain thing it takes many days, it takes time. And it applies, this thing applies to everything in life. Understood? To break, it's very easy. But join, it takes time. To fix it, it takes time. Understood? And this thing only is, this phenomenon of breaking and joining, or to breaking and making again, it is ongoing. It's very easy that a person can hurt anybody else, but it takes time for that person to make that other person laugh, or have a smile on the face. It's very different, and it's very difficult. Understood? So at that time, this war caused tremendous loss, and as these two powers, Allied power and Central power, they were having a grudge between them. They fought a war. They were in this situation that anyhow we'll do this war and we'll try to have our supremacy, or we will prove ourselves that how good we are, or how best we are, and what is our achievement in front of the world. But this on the other side, what was the drawback? Loss was there. And when this loss was there, what happened? The economies of the victorious as well as the vanquished has collapsed. Economies means what? All the monetary factor. Money matters. Any kind of things that is there, that is related to economy. All kinds of your money matters. The development, the trade, everything got affected, and it made the rich countries also to suffer, as well as the poor country to also suffer. So this thing was there. After that, what happened? Let's see. There was this League of Nations. It was there. At the end of the First World War, all the nations felt that such a war should not happen again, and measures must be taken to avoid it. So what was there? So everyone, they realized that to have a war is not easy. See what happened, what was the result, what was the consequences, and everyone faced that thing. And after that, what was it that all nations, they felt that we should take something measures. Measures means some steps. And this League of Nations was established in 1920. In which year? 1920. And this was established to solve international disputes by negotiation. International disputes means international problems. And by negotiation, how? By negotiation. Negotiation means by talks, not by the means of war. By mutual understanding, by discussions. Understood? And the main responsibility of the League of Nations was to avoid war. What was the responsibility? To avoid war. That means to see to it that no country is coming up with the ideology of war, or no country is interested to have war in future. Understood? So after the war, now what happened? Because after war, what happened? Major changes came into Europe. Major means vast changes. And the Europe, in that empires were there. Empires means big landlords, big all kinds of high class people and all. They were having castles, they were having mansions, they were having all kinds of luxurious life. They were holding some lands also, a piece of land, and they were ruling them. They were saying some kind of rulers which were there, small or big. They were together. But after that, what happened? That the war, this war made this empires to collapse. It collapsed and it was no more. And what happened? New nation states came into existence. So what happened? New nation states, small states, they came into existence. Movements for independence started in the colonies of European powers in Asia and Africa. So what happened that in these colonies, movement started for independence. Independence, that means freedom. That they wanted to be free from the rule of the bigger kingdom or the powerful ruler, this country who was ruling them. Understood? So they wanted to be free from them, and this thing was there in Asia also and in Africa also. So they were the small nation states. They were all colonies. They were in this thing to have freedom, to be getting free from the power of the other rulers' hands. Understood? But this League of Nations could not stop the outbreak of the Second World War. They were trying their best to have control over the situation, but still the Second World War was fought. And let's see who all were there in the Second World War. When it was fought? It was fought from 1939 to 1945. From which year? 1939 to 1945. And it was at that time, now see who were there on the Allied powers. Allied powers and Axis powers. First World War was Allied power and Central powers. Now this Second World War, Allied powers and Axis powers. Now let's see which all countries who were there. In Allied powers, who all were there? Britain, France, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, India, Soviet Union, China and America. Yes, so who all were there? Britain, France, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, India, Soviet Union, China and America. Axis power, now let's see who all were there. Germany, Japan and Italy. Now this Second World War was more destructive than the First World War. Destructive means it caused much more loss than compared to First World War, and it was more widespread because in this World War, Second World War, what was that? Advanced technology was used in this World War. America played a major role in Second World War. It dropped 2 nuclear bombs. How many? 2 nuclear bombs on Japan. In which cities? In Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And as they dropped this bomb on these 2 places, that is Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the Second World War came to an end. And the war ended with the defeat of Germany and Japan. So this Axis power was what these 2 countries were there, 2 nations were there in this. It ended with the defeat. So Germany was defeated and Japan was also defeated in this Second World War. And how? America gave them this very drastic blow by using the advanced technology, and they had dropped what? 2 nuclear bombs. Today, when we are looking at all the nations, every nation who have their nuclear weapons, every nation they are having their technology used, and they are well prepared for war. They are trying to buy the ammunition. They are trying to buy the war aircrafts, jets, war jets are there, missiles are there, radar systems are there. Yes, the equipment that is used in war, that is they are trying to buy it, and they are trying to make themselves very much self-sufficient to have a war with anybody. They are prepared already. They have the stock in ready. Understood? But that time during Second World War, who was on leave? America was on leave, and it was having this nuclear bomb with them, and they dropped it on this Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Now what happened after that? After this war ended, there was a Cold War situation everywhere. Now what was Cold War situation? Cold War means not actually in war or to have war, but to be very much good competitors of others, to be a rivals like that, or to be prepared for war anytime. Understood? So that is rivalry. America and Soviet Union, who were allies, became rivals soon after the end of Second World War. Their rivalry, described as Cold War, lasted for over 45 years. How many years? 45 years. And it was from, this Cold War situation was from 1945 to 1991. Understood? So this was there, 1945 to 1991. This was there. And this term that is there is described as a situation where there is no actual war, but such intense tension that may lead to war. So there is some intense tension going on, but that anyhow, any time the war may happen. Understood? So today we are also, our country is also in this kind of Cold War. Understood? And anytime we are also having much threat from other countries, neighboring countries. America was already a superpower, and the Soviet Union aspired to become a superpower by making nuclear weapons and by increasing its military might. Now America was already a supreme power, supremo at that time, but after that who was there trying to be on that other side? Soviet Union. This country, this Soviet Union, they felt that we also, why should we lag behind? We should also go forward, and we should also be preparing ourselves to maintain our name and fame in front of world. Now struggle for power, arms race, differences in ideology, attitude of checkmating each other by strategies and counter strategies gave rise to Cold War. So what gave rise to this? That is struggle for power, that is struggle to maintain the status power. Arms race, that is which country will be having much of the number of soldiers there, number of ammunition there, good equipment there, war technology. Understood? Then ideas, differences in ideas, the attitude of checkmating each other. Now this word checkmating is what? When you play, or when you are familiar, or if you are familiar with this game, we play chess. In chess, what is there? There is the two players playing. They have the pawnies there. They are having all the king, queen. Yes, everyone. When the king is checkmated means if I am giving this move, that from anywhere, if the king is moving, he will be attacked, he will be caught. That is checkmate. Not to give space to the other one to come out of that situation. That is checkmating. So this situation, these strategies, the nations were using, and this was the Cold War situation. Understood? This was the Cold War situation. This much is clear? Okay, let's move forward. Now, after this Cold War, what happened? Military organizations were created, like North Atlantic Treaty organization that was by America, and Warsaw was by Soviet Union. And these two superpowers, they took the responsibility to have what? To give the security to the countries who are joining them, who are becoming a part of them, or who are going to their side. Some of the countries they went on the America side, some of the countries they went to the Soviet Union side. So this was there. Now going to the different side is this term is known as, or joining the power blocks, two supreme powers, that was known as bipolarization. What is bipolarization? Most countries joined either of the two power blocks. Such a division of nations of the world in two groups is bipolarization. The scope of Cold War increased and the sphere of tension spread due to this bipolarization. So some of the countries they went this side, some of the countries they went that side, and the tension developed. Understood? So this power block, they started producing the different kinds of weapons to give each other a tough fight if the war will happen. But as they created these arms, weapons, it endangered each other. It gave this a kind of signal that see, we are also not less and we are also prepared. So this was the situation. Now after that, regional organizations were also created to ensure that there would be mutual cooperation in the contest of the superpower. And economic development was considered more important. European countries formed this economic community, and Southeast Asian countries formed the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, that is ASEAN. After that, there was non-alignment movement started, and the leadership of non-alignment movement was Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, President of Yugoslavia, Marshal Tito, then President of Egypt, Gamal Abdel Nasser, President of Indonesia, Dr. Sukarno, Prime Minister of Ghana, that is Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Now this non-alignment movement, it opposed this colonialism and imperialism and racism. And what was it? That they did not want to join any of the super blocks, and it did not want to be a part of war. This movement is based on eternal principles of humanism, global peace and equality. And it inspired the less developed countries to come together and put forth problems of poor, undeveloped countries very firmly. So it gave the chance for the less developed country to flourish, to progress, and the measures were there, understandings were there, the discussions were there, and it gave confidence to the developing countries to assert themselves with self-respect in international politics. The Cold War came to an end in 1961. As that time, what happened? Soviet Union lost control over the economy. Mikhail Gorbachev, the president of Soviet Union, what he implemented? He implemented two principles, that is restructuring and openness. Due to these policies, what happened? The control over the media was reduced and political and economic spheres were restructured, and it gave rise to democracy. So before they were all doing everything on a very hush-hush manner. After these two things, that is restructuring and openness, this made this country to go forward in very much. It progressed. But the economy was loosened up. Soviet Union disintegrated and several new nations emerged out of it. Russia was the biggest country. Russia was the biggest country at the end of the Cold War. Now what happened after the after the end of the